Hey friends, it's Kathleen Henderson from Yankee Homestead. I wanted to tell you about a really awesome blend that we use on our kids, particularly when they are very little and struggling with respiratory issues. In fact, I want to share a little story. I'm going to try to keep this as compliant as possible. But my youngest son, he's now 3.5, but when he was just a baby, I think he was somewhere between like 6 and 9 months old, he had a really scary respiratory incident to where it was really late at night. He had been sleeping in his bed, but he woke up with a barking cough. And neither of my older sons had ever faced that respiratory challenge, so this was a new thing for me, and I was very concerned because I had heard about this, and he was basically struggling to breathe. So I was actually ready. My husband was holding him, and I was getting myself ready to take my baby out to seek some attention to get him help. But I looked up what I was pretty sure he was dealing with in my essential oils reference book, and the oils that it suggested were marjoram and thyme. So we diluted those oils and rubbed them on his chest and on his feet. We put them in his bedroom diffuser. We also used a hot, steamy shower, and then we took him out in the cool night air to breathe in cool air into his lungs. And it was amazing. Those 3 remedies together allowed us to avoid having to take him anywhere. It was able to get his breathing under control to where I was actually able to put him back down to bed in his own bed. We were all able to sleep that night. And I was just so thankful to have these essential oils at our fingertips, ready to take care of my family without having to expose him to additional germs by taking him somewhere to get attention, without having to expose him to, all of us, to sleep deprivation by being out for a while trying to get him help, without having to expose him to like bright lights and a stressful situation, when what I knew his body really needed was just to rest. We just needed a way to ease his breathing so that he could rest. So I'm going to share with you the recipe that we use now for that respiratory challenge. And I actually recommend, this is what I do now. I mix it up in an empty bottle of fractionated coconut oil. I love to recycle these bottles. They're really handy for storing blends and sprays. I add a pump top, which is also really handy. I get my pump tops from shareoils.com. And this is the recipe. I actually wrote it down for you. The 2 oils that you'll need are thyme and marjoram. Thyme is awesome for respiratory challenges. It's also very supportive to the immune system. So that combo makes it really powerful for any kind of respiratory gunk that you're really wanting to hit hard. And then you'll also need fractionated coconut oil. You need a carrier oil base. So again, I start with an empty fractionated coconut oil bottle. This recipe is for about 2 ounces. This whole bottle is 4 ounces. I use about 2 ounces, about half a bottle of fractionated coconut oil. And then here is the recipe. You can see that. There we go. So respiratory chest blend, or whatever you want to call it, 2 ounces of fractionated coconut oil. Just as a side note, a good dilution ratio for babies is 1 to 3 drops of essential oil per tablespoon of carrier oil. And for kids, a good ratio is 1 to 3 drops essential oil per teaspoon of fractionated coconut oil or carrier oil. So depending on who you're making it for, probably you're making it for a baby, but I also use this on my older kids too. My middle guy in particular, he's about 7. He's 7.5. He tends to struggle with some respiratory issues too, so I often apply it to him as well. So 2 ounces fractionated coconut oil, and then if you're making it for a baby, you'll want about 3 to 5 drops each of marjoram and thyme. If you're making it for older kids, you can use about 10 to 12 drops of each oil. And that's it. You just, kind of shake it up and apply at least 2 to 3 times a day. If they're really struggling, you can apply it even more often. And a good place to apply it is obviously the chest, and you can actually rub it like up the neck as well. And then I like to do it on the back, the upper back, like over the lung area. So over the lungs in the front, over the lungs in the back, and also up to where they can smell it and it's going in through their nose and their mouth aromatically. And then also on the soles of the feet. Incidentally, you can also diffuse this combo overnight in their bedrooms for the same purpose for the respiratory issues. Just use a few drops of each marjoram and thyme with the water in their bedroom diffuser. All right, so that's been super powerful, a super powerful blend for us. And I like just having it mixed up like this, since 2 of my guys tend to struggle with those symptoms. If they get to feeling under the weather, it just kind of goes to their one of them, it kind of goes up here in his sinuses, my 7-year-old, and my 3-year-old, it kind of settles in his chest. So I just like to keep, I actually have a bottle like this downstairs and a bottle upstairs just ready. It helps having them prepared ahead of time and just at the ready gives us much higher odds. The odds are much higher that I'm actually going to use the oils and apply it often to them throughout the day, as opposed to if I had to stop and break out those oils every time I was applying it to them, I probably wouldn't apply it as often to them. So I highly recommend just going ahead and mixing this up and having it ready. And it's good for any kind of respiratory issues. Whenever there's respiratory stuff going on, it's a great blend to rub, again, on the chest, the upper back, and the soles of the feet. All right, so happy oiling and enjoy that respiratory chest blend.